Thank you for joining us for Car Rider Line. This is our CCISD podcast that we publish bi-weekly on education topics related to our district and community. Today, I'm joined by some very special guests, Mr. Paul McClarty, Deputy Superintendent of Business and Support Services, and Mr. Paul Miller, Director of Facility Services. Thank you both for being here today. And we're going to be talking through some major progress being made through our Bond 2017 program and give our audience some insight into how school districts fund certain items like bonds and where our finances are coming from. So first off, can you both talk through your very important roles within CCISD for those who may not know? Mr. McClarty, I'll start with you.
Thank you. I'd like to describe my position as all the non-instructional items that the school district deals with. This would include human resources, finance, purchasing, business, and support services, also maintenance, custodial operations, safe and secure schools, child nutrition, student transportation, and then facility services.
Awesome. Mr. Miller?
My primary role is long-range facilities planning and bond planning, land acquisition and disposition, planning and design and construction of all the bond projects, including and then also emergency management when responding to hurricanes and those kinds of things, and dealing with major insurance claims and FEMA recoveries.
Two very important people in CCISD. And if you have questions throughout the live stream, you can post them in the comment section and we will get to them if we have time towards the end of the show. Mr. McClarty, can you explain the purpose of school bonds and what they're used for those who may not know?
Sure. Bonds are developed to meet the long-term capital needs of our school district, and they're much like a mortgage for a home. You get a mortgage so that you can pay for the construction of your home. We get bonds and sell bonds so that we can pay for the construction of in our school district. Most of our mortgages are 30-year mortgages. Some of us may have 15-year mortgages, but bonds for the school district generally range in the 20 to 25-year range. So we pay them off earlier than the normal home mortgage is paid off. Bonds have to be approved by voters. We can't just sell bonds. We have to have authorization to do that. And so from time to time, the school board will want to move forward with some projects that we've developed. And it could be for new construction, new facilities. It could be for renovations, major renovations of 40 or 50-year-old buildings, buses. We can buy land out of bonds, technology. Those are the types of things, major equipment that we use. And League City is still growing, so land is certainly going to be something we're going to be looking at in the future as we move forward. And finally, we cannot use bond funds for anything other than capital replacement type items. We can't use them for regular operating expenditures like for teacher salaries or for supplies or materials in classrooms. They can only be used for capital items.
Right. And so voters approve essentially to only fund the projects within the scope of each bond. We had we're talking today about the 2017 bond, but the one previous to that was in 2013. And we've seen some major completion with the 2013 bond as well. Mm-hmm. Correct?
That's correct. Yes, the projects within that one are complete. Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know where those other sources of funds come from for district operations, can you explain how that's used?
Sure. We have three major sources that the school board approves during the budget process. The first one is our maintenance and operations account, our maintenance and operations fund, which is generally the operating expenditures of the school business. It would be teacher salaries, it would be supplies and materials, it would be utilities, things like that. Just like your normal household budget. You have a household budget. Ours is just a little larger than the normal household. It's $371 million this year in our budget. The second one is what we're going to be talking about today. It's bond programs, interest and sinking fund, and that covers only the debt service on our bonds. So when I told you we have a 20 to 25 year repayment schedule on our bonds, that includes principal and interest over 20 to 25 years, and the board will set the rate that we need in order to pay off those bonds in that time frame, sort of like your mortgage. The board sets tax rates to cover these every September, and for those two budgets. The final budget is our child nutrition budget, which is approved by the board. It's about $17 million, and it covers all the child nutrition meals for our free and reduced kids as well as our regular paid kids. Just one stat that I think amazes everybody is just on one day, September 29th of this year, we served over 38,000 meals to our children, and we average about 35,000 meals a day through the entire month of September. So it's a huge operation. It's much larger than a Luby's, much larger than most of your restaurants.
Right.
So, and that's approved by the board as well in August and September.
And the CCISD tax rate is a combination of both the maintenance and operation rate and the interest and seeking rate that you spoke about. Can you touch on where we're at with those this year?
Sure.
Currently?
Really good news for our taxpayers. It was approved in September, and we've reduced the tax rate by over 22 cents in the last 4 years, and that's a huge drop in our tax rate and a help for our taxpayers. Our maintenance and operating budget was $1.04 in 2017, and the board just approved a 88.97 cent tax rate this year. So that's a big drop of over 14.5 cents since 2017. And also our interest and sinking fund has reduced our debt service fund from 36 cents back in 2017 to 29 cents today. So that's a 7-cent decrease and about a 19.4% decrease over that period of time. So our total tax rate at $1.17.97 is the lowest tax rate this school district has had in over 30 years.
Amazing.
So we're at a historic low in our tax rate.
Right. And what our publics may be familiar with when we go out for these bonds is we have an estimate of this is possibly how much our tax rates may rise due to this bond program, but that is not the case.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because when we went out for this bond in 2017, we thought that our tax rate may actually go up from 36 cents to 39.5 cents, a 3.5 cent increase. In reality, over this period of time, it's down now to 29 cents. So we've dropped the tax rate while we still had the bonds going forward.
Awesome. So how are bonds developed for CCISD?
Well, the first step in that process is maintaining our long-range facilities plan. That plan includes the likely need for additional schools in the future, so assessing what our enrollment growth might be based on demographic information, making sure that we are monitoring that. That long-range plan also includes maintaining a database of all of our life cycle items, roofs and air conditioners, those things. Even though the building may have a 40 to 50-year life, some of those have anywhere from 10 years to 25 years, depending on the system. And we also look at the aging facilities, like a lot of our 40 and 50-year-old buildings. They generally follow on that plan to assume a major renovation of those buildings to bring them up to current code and educational standards. Once that has been established and is maintained, we then establish in about a 5 to 6 year cycle an assessment process where we obtain campus committee recommendations based on their intelligence of each school and what they see is wrong with the school. We obtain lists from our maintenance and technology staff, all the district level departments who know those building systems because they maintain them. Those lists are then provided to the facilities team that then takes those lists with them as we do a site visit to each and every campus throughout the district with a team of assessment people, and we develop lists of all of the different items that are needing to be addressed, whether immediately need or something down the road that we would need to address. All of those lists are then assembled into a database that's then we provide estimates and we prioritize those lists to make sure we have a real complete picture of not only the life cycle items, but the condition of the facilities out there, just to make sure that we're providing good intelligence to our board of trustees and to the community to make sure we are keeping these facilities operational and safe.
And that facility advisory committee, what is that committee made up of?
And I'll go into this a little bit. It's made up of citizens and our taxpayers of our community, and there's probably 40 to 50 people that are on that committee. So what they get to do is actually have us walk through the entire process, go through all the information, and they will hear the reasoning behind how we've rated these facilities. Then they'll actually go out and take walkthroughs of some campuses that we feel like are representative of the kinds of work that we need to be doing. And it's been very eye-opening to our community that have been on these as they walk through some of our 40 and 50-year-old buildings. And then they walk through a brand new building and see the difference in those classrooms. And so the students are getting a little different environment in those new ones. So I think that's a very important part of it. They also make the final recommendation to the school board. It's not internal recommendation, it's this committee's recommendation. And after that, the school board will take that under advisement, go out, and they'll have public hearings. And so they'll invite all the public to come in at all these locations where we hold the hearings, get feedback on this recommendation, and then they may modify it based off the feedback from the community, and then come back and ultimately call a bond election if that's what they decide to do in the January or February timeframe.
So it's an extensive process that involves many departments, many community members. It's not just we need this, and so we're going to go have the community vote on these things. It's a full process in place. And so I think that background information is really important for people who may not know the whole process on how these are developed. So once they are developed and passed, how do your departments work together for these projects listed within the bond program?
Well, the first step really is to kick off the bond program and lay out a schedule of when these projects are going to be executed. These projects take a lot of collaboration between a lot of people within the district, different departments, campus personnel. We want to make sure that we're meeting the needs and we're completing the work as it was presented to the FAC. We collaborate throughout this entire project with all the stakeholders. We make sure that they're involved in drawing reviews and specification reviews, and then during construction we invite them to monitor and keep track of how things are going. We then have them come in and review as we're nearing completion. A lot of those things were done this past week at Clearview, so we're monitoring that to make sure that when we get to the end of the project that we're providing a quality product and that it meets their needs. And really that process continues through the entire bond program over and over for each project as it kicks off. And then we maintain a really detailed financial analysis that we provide monthly updates to our board on where we are on all the bond programs for each project. And that really continues throughout. We've been doing that same process since about 2011 and prior to that as well with previous directors.
So in 2017, our community overwhelmingly passed a bond for $487 million. Can you describe some of the main items from that bond?
Bonds 2017 included one new school, Campbell Elementary, that was constructed for enrollment growth on the west side. It included a rebuild of two of our really old schools. Clearview High School got rebuilt. It was built in the 30s. Leak City Elementary was also rebuilt. It was a 60s vintage school. We did major renovations of our 6 60s vintage schools where that would have included Clear Lake City Elementary, Ross Elementary, Hall, Landolt, Whitcomb, and White Elementary. And then the bond included additions at several campuses to address enrollment growth, fine arts additions and renovations at four of our intermediate schools, priority repairs and replacements. Those are air conditioners and roofs and things like that at every single campus throughout the district. Safety and security upgrades at every campus. It included the purchase of buses, technology infrastructure, fine arts instruments and equipment replacement as those instruments get older. That we replace those. Athletics equipment replacement, and then elementary school playgrounds were some of the highlights. And a lot more detail out there, but those are some of the highlights.
Absolutely. And so with all that in mind, percentage-wise, how far along would you say we are with this bond progress?
I think from a dollar perspective, we're probably about 86% complete with the dollar value of that. We really have two major projects remaining that are going to be going out next year, Ross and Whitcomb.
And we're 4 years in, so I mean that's an amazing point to be at this time, and especially through COVID too, and all the delays that we've seen as well. So let's talk about the status of a few of the major projects that are currently wrapping up. Let's start with the rebuild of Clearview High School. Where are we at with that project, and when will it be completed?
Well, Clearview is nearing completion right now. So we are actually achieving substantial completion this week and next. All the city inspections were completed this week. So we were able to start moving things in. The plan is to move the campus from their current campus over to the new school over winter break, and then have kids return on January 4th, starting school in the next semester at the new school. A lot of work left to do to make that happen.
Right.
We'll begin demolition once we vacate the old school. We'll begin demolition of that existing school, except for the Art Deco front entrance. We are saving that. So that process will actually take us through the end of June of next year. So as we demolish and finalize, we'll regrade and get athletic fields, soccer fields like they've had over in that area for a long time. So once we're done, those will be returned to athletic fields.
And that's also January. These kids who are currently enrolled at Clearview get a brand new school.
They're very excited.
For the
we were over there yesterday for Dr. Williams met with staff, as he normally does across the district throughout the year, and their staff was very excited about the prospect of getting over there to a new building.
They deserve it. They're just great staff, great students, great administration over there, and exciting new things such as the welding program, where students will be able to be certified in welding when they graduate. They also have the certified nursing assistant program and the cosmetology program located at that campus through our career and technical education specialty programs. So a lot of great opportunities for that campus and those students in the coming months. Hall, Landolt, and Ed White are also nearing completion, correct? And what work was done there?
That is correct. They're getting really close to. We've got one that's nearing completion, and we have two of those that are substantially complete with some work remaining. Those three campuses are three of our six major renovations of elementary schools. They included instruction or admin or library additions to allow us to free up space within the campus to meet the current educational requirements, and then a complete renovation of every square footage of that building, of every building, is completed. White and Hall have exterior parking lot grading, all of those exterior site work as part of the project. So they were very challenging and very comprehensive projects that will bring those schools into the 21st century.
And we did a live stream through our office, actually, at the STEM lab at Ed White last week. And it's just amazing to see these students in their new spaces and how they light up and how teachers get to utilize these new spaces as well. They look like they are brand new schools. I mean, just because they weren't rebuilt from the ground up like Leak City and Clearview, they still have that feel of a brand new campus. And so exciting stuff for those campuses as well. Are there any other projects you'd like to mention that are forthcoming?
As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we do have two of our major projects that will be bidding in April of next year. That's Ross Elementary and Whitcomb Elementary. Those are the last two of the six major renovation projects. Those projects will begin construction in May and continue through August of 2023. And then next summer, we're doing a few of the last remaining priority repair and replacement projects that are relatively minor, but we're combining those into next summer and completing that work, which should wrap up the priority repair and replacement work for the bond.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. Is there anything else you think we missed?
I think, I don't know that we missed anything, but I think I'd like to add is that Paul and his team have done an outstanding job of getting these things built and bid. And as a result, we've had a lot of project savings. So where we bid maybe one number for a project, he's always been able to come in under budget. And so that's really helpful to us to build up that reserve of savings dollars that we know we're not going to be spending on the projects that we built. So that's good. We've not always been that fortunate in the past.
And especially during, of course, again, through the years of COVID, the past 2 years, and some delays that you've worked around, both of your teams have worked around, and these students and staff members get to experience these new spaces. So continue following us on our social media and our CCISD website, ccisd.net. We spotlight these programs, and I'm sure we'll be having a ribbon cutting ceremony for Clearview High School pretty soon. So be sure you follow us so you can stay up to date on those projects. If there's nothing else, I want to thank you again both for being here. That's it for this week's episode of Car Rider Line. You can subscribe to the podcast, so whenever we publish the audio episode, you'll be notified. We do provide a transcript as well, and this video will be available for playback on our ccisd.net/carriderline and on Facebook. So until next time, we hope you have a great Thanksgiving break, and we'll see you soon.